I made it my business to keep an eye on my brother, especially since Chris and Patrick stayed at the house till very late. Eventually, they left and we followed them into town. They had a hotel room. Yunville was in the heart of the Napa Valley. The BRIGHTBLADE estate has been there for over 80 years and a curiosity to all nearby. Until recently, the house was unoccupied, but meticulously kept by the caretakers. Since capturing Lena BRIGHTBLADE years ago, the Frogan Nation has kept an eye on the place. Welcome back, my friends. I'm honored that you came back to see what comes next in the story. Before we continue, let's get some business out of the way. I would truly appreciate your help in growing this channel. So please subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell so you know when a new video uploads. Now let's get back to the story. Chris and Patrick, in their humanoid disguises, have made many trips to Bright Future Logistics to gather information on the BRIGHTBLADEs. When word came that a BRIGHTBLADE family moved into the estate, they knew that their quarry had been found. Fiona's family had made their way to California. Orders came from above that they were to kill the boy immediately. John and Buck had orders to kill both BRIGHTBLADEs and failed. They hadn't believed that Fiona had come back, and they paid for that mistake with their lives. If we kill the boy outside of the house, it will attract too much attention. It must be in the house. We've got the family controlled, they won't interfere, and they won't notice that he's gone for at least a week when the Subiac wears off. We'll be long gone by then, Patrick said. He was sitting at the small desk on the other side of the room. Chris was lying on the bed smoking. The BRIGHTBLADEs will be no more, and we can all go home. Supreme Commander Ta'aku will be pleased, he replied. Maybe we'll be rewarded with a view of Lena. I've wanted to get a look at her since I was a young hatchling. Thanks to her, we've been able to get all the information we need to eliminate the Anthorans once and for all. Supreme Commander Ta'aku will be able to launch an attack of their home world and take over the planet. You were foolish to hack into the security system, Chris. I realize that some of it has helped us find the family, but you went too far to get footage of her in the containment case. You mustn't keep it. After we kill the boy, you must erase it, advised Patrick. My uncle works to maintain security of the prisoner. I was careful to not leave a trace of my codes, but you're right. I'll destroy it as soon as the boy is dead. Chris got off the bed and walked over to the bureau. He pulled open a drawer and took out a small metal case. He swiped his hand over it, and the lid glowed and opened. He pressed a code into the device in a sequence I quickly memorized. A scene played out that made my blood boil. Lena was taken in ambush. She was with some others, and they fought bravely, but she couldn't save them. She used her liac to kill 8 Frogans before they could get close enough to sedate her. When she fell, they placed her body in a case that was filled with a black viscous substance. The next scene showed her in a room. Her body was in some form of suspended animation. Every now and then, she would scream in pain. Then the screen went blank. Lena was alive? She'd been a prisoner for over 60 years? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Immediately, my thoughts went through scenarios to save her, but I shook my head to clear it. My first duty was to remove the threat to my brother. Saving Lena was something I was going to need help with. I signaled for Lippy and Pua to follow me outside. We headed back to the cruiser, and it was then and only then that I could take a breath and calm down. Lippy and Pua watched me nervously. After I was sufficiently calm, I went over to expel in the area built into the cruiser, just for me. I paced while my companions prepared dinner, alternately keeping watch over me. We must deal with Chris and Patrick in that ship in orbit. I don't know how much information they'd gotten from my family, but it can't be helped. Right now, our immediate duty is to ensure Junior's safety. When we get back home, we can prepare a rescue strategy for Lena, I said calmly. Oh, good. For a minute there, I thought you were going to try to do this by yourself, Pua said. Lippy nodded too as she set the small table in the mess area. I may have powers, but I'm not stupid. I realize that our enemy had an advantage over us holding Lena captive. But they don't know everything. Lena apparently hasn't told them about the device she and her husband invented. The shielding device has kept the Edwards and the others safe all these years. I realized that it was the same technology that prevents our ships from being detected. So, how do you want to do this? Lippy asked. Before we do anything, I want to make sure we have enough firepower to make it to our jump point when we leave the planet. Pua frowned. Why? She asked as her frown grew deeper. Because after killing Chris and Patrick, I want to lure the ship in orbit away from the Earth and destroy it, I told them. Wouldn't that alert more Frogans? Pua asked. Perhaps, but it'll be part of the plan. My brother will be safe because obviously they can detect Anthorans. If he is wearing one of these, his essence signature will be gone, and Chris and Patrick's superiors will think he'd been killed before their demise, I said, showing them the small flat box. Oh, Lippy and Pua chorused together. I sat down at the table to eat. I was calm and in control. Lippy and Pua followed suit, but I noticed that they kept stealing glances at me. What? I asked. We were wondering if you thought this through. Destroying that ship could mean war for Anthora too. How much constant bombardment do you think the shield over our world could take before it started to malfunction and they get through? Lippy posed. It is inevitable that we'd be going to war. We will soon become part of the alliance of planets. Joined with these other worlds, we can turn the tide of the Frogan threat for good. When we get back, I'll be going on a mission to present out issues and to officially join the alliance, I told them. Oh, so that rumor is true? We'll be opening up the planet for trade and stuff? Asked Pua. Where did you hear that? I was under the impression that knowledge of the alliance of planets was still secret. Beta 12 is part of the alliance. Our world joined years ago, Lippy told me. Our world, Tia-4, Aveng 3 are some of the worlds in the alliance. Anthora 2 would be foolish not to join. Since joining, Beta 12 has been successful in fighting off some Frogan attacks, she further explained. Some attacks don't sound good to me. We almost lost a squadron and got Captain Lau hurt. The alliance didn't seem that effective if they were going to allow Frogan ships in their orbit, I thought. That's because Beta 12 was ravaged and pillaged by the Frogans. They came and destroyed almost all of our ships. We fight them when they land, but not in the air. That's why we joined. We've gained better advantage. The Frogans come to a planet, destroy their defenses, and then come back later to do whatever they want. We have allies we can call for help, Pua added. When we were there, why wasn't there any help? That's because we are still rebuilding our defenses, ships, and communication capabilities, Lippy said. Is that how the Frogans operate? They come to a planet and destroy its ability to defend itself? Exactly. When they come back next, it is to occupy and deplete the planet's resources and enslave its people. Will Earth be next? I asked, suddenly afraid. Earth has a fighting chance. They are more advanced in warfare. I don't think they will ever attack Earth because it would take too much effort. Frogans prey on the weak. How do you know so much? I asked. Lippy's features changed. My parents were part of the Space Corps on Beta 12. They fought hard, and for a while it looked like we were winning when all of a sudden the Frogan mothership appeared and blasted all of our ships, communication towers, and half the militia. They have a secret weapon. Only the mothership is equipped with it. I learned from others that their world was similarly attacked, she said. Suddenly it dawned on me what their secret weapon was. Lena was being held on the mothership, and whatever they contained her in kept her Liak abilities inert until they needed it. They've been using her ability as a weapon. I tried to recall the images I'd seen on that hologram viewer. Lena had electrodes attached to her body. They were using Liak through her. It made sense now. I stood up and they looked at me expectantly. We have to get Junior outfitted tonight and then kill those two and go home. There's much to do, I told them. Are you sure? Pua asked. Yes, I know what their weapon is and I know how to stop it. Are you going to tell us? Asked Lippy. They were both watching me expectantly. I shook my head. No, not now, but I promise I will when we get back home. I trust you, Fiona. I just hope what you have planned succeeds, Pua said quietly. We have to get going. I told them. I walked away from the table with my plate. After placing it in the cleaning module, I went to sit at the helm. I wrote up a report of the proceedings thus far, and once I was done, I motioned for the ladies to follow me. Junior was asleep when we got to the house and it was quiet. While Lippy and Pua watched over him, I conducted a check on the rest of the family. Mom and Dad were sleeping peacefully. Laura was sitting up in bed talking on her phone. But Chris, you promised me. I can't stand it here. There's nothing to do in this crappy town. You promised you'd take me with you. You swore to me, Laura pleaded. Then her eyes went glassy and her jaw slack. I will do as you say. I will keep watch over my brother. I will call you right away when Fiona comes." Then she hung up and slid her body down and closed her eyes. That was beyond creepy, I thought. They could use their Subiac ability over the phone too. I kind of felt sorry for my sister. Once this was over, she is going to need a lot of therapy. I went back to my brother's room. He was awake now and he was talking with Lippy and Pua. I quickly looked across the room to find that he had engaged the privacy mode for his room. "Good, I'm glad you're awake," I told him. I pulled out the shielding device and explained he needed to wear one. I helped him put it in his ear and jumped back when it suddenly took the shape of his ear and disappeared. Junior didn't look hurt. He reached up to touch it and it changed again to resemble a hearing aid. Lena and her husband were geniuses. The device looked like an ordinary hearing aid, but once inserted into the ear, it disappeared to cover the whole ear, mimicking the shape and color. "Don't take it off for any reason, not even in the shower," I told him. "Can Douglas have one too?" he asked. "Yes, I believe his grandparents will give him one. I have to go now. I will try to be back as soon as possible. Mom, Dad, and Laura are going to need your help. Those two men messed with their minds, and once the mind control wears off, they'll be confused. Can you do that for me?" I watched as my almost teenage brother squared his shoulders and nodded. "Don't worry, Fiona. I'll make sure they're okay." I reached out to touch him at the same time he reached for me. "I love you, kiddo. See you soon." "I hope it's very soon. Goodbye, Lippy. Goodbye, Pua. Come back to see me too, okay?" "We will," Pua and Lippy replied. I marveled at the communication device. One would think Pua and Lippy were really speaking English. We hurried back to the hotel to find Chris watching TV, and Patrick was fiddling with a nasty-looking weapon. He held it up admiring it. "I can't wait to use this on the boy. It's supposed to not only kill him, but his essence too." I stood in the middle of the room and fired on both at the same time. I went over to each of them to make sure there weren't any parts of their heads functioning. A few minutes later, and to our disgust, their bodies disintegrated to mush. "Clean up in aisle 4? I said to no one in particular. Lippy and Pua went to work getting the hologram viewer into a smaller version of the box we used to transport John's body. I did a quick check to see if there was anything of theirs we could use and found a communicator on the nightstand. I asked the girls to scoop it up and the weapon as well, and we left. Fleetingly, I wondered what the cleaning personnel was going to think when she found the sludge in the room. Lippy and Pua both sat at their stations as navigations and security techs. Pua assured me that we had enough firepower to defend ourselves once the Frogan ship began to chase us. I went over in my mind what I wanted to do if things didn't go according to plan. "Uncloak us, Ensign Lippy," I ordered. Immediately, the Frogan ship's lights went on and moved toward us. "Light speed, Lippy." "Yes, Captain," she replied. The ship accelerated to light speed and the Frogan began to gain. "A little more," I murmured. I wanted the ship to get as close to the sun as it could get. "Ensign Pua, fire everything we have now." "Yes, Captain." She opened up fire. We watched our barrage hit the ship once before its shields went up. There was some damage, but not enough to blow it up. They returned fire, but our shields held firm. I allowed them to chase us a little further, and we'd gotten as close to the sun as we could without disturbing the gravitational pull of the surrounding planets. I closed my eyes and felt for my liak. My body knew what it had to do, and I could feel it pulling on the sun nearby. My body began to vibrate as it pulsed with power. I had Lippy turn the cruiser around to face our enemy. I went to the bay area and buckled myself into the harness the warriors used when they traveled with us. Then I ordered Pua to lower the shields. I opened the bay doors just a bit, and I aimed and fired, along with the ship's lasers. It was over before I could fully comprehend what happened. The ship blew up in a spectacular display of light. It happened so fast that the only thing that escaped through the bay doors was a container of foodstuff. The backlash threw us thousands of kilometers away, and once we'd gotten control, I ordered Lippy to take us to our jump point. Captain Lau and Elder Chaktar greeted us when we disembarked. I held the box containing the hologram viewer under my arm as we were led to the conference room. "I trust your trip proved successful, Captain?" Elder Chaktar began. "Yes, sir, it was," I answered. "Before I give report, has there been any more Frogan sightings or captures since I was gone?" "As a matter of fact, we've caught 2 more. "Is the base secure?" I asked. "Yes, it is." "What's this all about, Captain?" Elder Chaktar asked with a frown. We'd gotten to the conference room. I took out the shielding device and placed it on the table. It immediately disappeared. What was that? Captain Lau asked. His eyes searched the table. Before I explain what it was, I must backtrack to my first trip back home. I wasn't entirely truthful. What Captain Lau reported was mostly true, but after the captain went back to the cruiser, my father had some artifacts from Lena which he showed me. It had been handed down for generations. Lena kept the ship's manifest and kept a diary of what happened to the 80 people on board. When I finished my tale, Captain Lau and Elder Chaktar were silent for a moment. Then the questions began. Captain, I understand your caution. However, this was something that could have given us more information we need to combat the threat we all face, Elder Chaktar said. I don't understand how knowing that she had made a life for herself and her family could benefit us now. I didn't know half of the stuff I know now, I countered. I figured that I would feed them information in small increments, especially if their reaction to knowing that Lena had started manufacturing devices that shielded us made him turn purple. We felt that the Frogan threat was too great for a return trip so soon, especially after your family disappeared. He explained further. I put up a hand. There's more. Apart from starting the Bright Future Logistics Company, she and her husband had developed what I just placed on the table. There are two versions of it. One that could be worn to shield the person, and the other a whole ship, which is what we already have. I'm beginning to understand some of the enhancements that our scientists added to Lena's DNA. You mean that she found a way to miniaturize it? Captain Lau asked, searching the table again. Yes, and had I not gone down to see how my family fared, I wouldn't have been able to get one. Now we can be assured of safety when we travel to other worlds, I told them. What else have you to report, Captain? Elder Chaktar asked, eyeing the box in front of me. Now that I was solid again, I can touch it. I opened the box and pulled out the hologram viewer. I nodded at Lippy. She came around and swiped her hand over it. Just as Chris did it, the lid opened, and she inputted the code we'd memorized to activate it. Again, I was in awe as Lena's image appeared. That's impossible, Elder Chaktar sputtered. And yet you just saw for yourself. She's still alive, and what's more, I know why they're keeping her alive. She's been the power behind their attacks, I told them. I get it now, Lippy blurted out excitedly. That's why they are trying to assassinate her descendants, and why they are still trying to capture more Anthorans. If they can get more with Leok abilities, they'll be able to outfit the rest of their fleets. It took them this long to figure out how to use her ability to their advantage. Before now, they'd been doing what they have always done, plunder and move on, Captain Lau added. Captain BRIGHTBLADE, you've done very well. The council will meet soon to discuss what we should do next. Elder Chaktar said, I don't care what they decide. I want to be a member of the crew that's going up against that mothership to rescue Lena, I told him. Without a doubt, Captain, I will make sure of it, he replied. He got up and walked out of the room. Elder Sim will want to examine the shielding device so that we can duplicate it, and the hologram viewer will be placed in a secured area, Captain Lau said. He too stood up and left the room. That went well, Pua said. They didn't seem too enthusiastic about going to rescue Lena, I answered back. Give them time to adjust. We've just dropped a boatload of information on them. Bureaucrats always take time to argue issues that seem clear to others. By the way, Pua and I want in on the rescue too, insisted Lippy. I wouldn't want it any other way. You two have been with me from the very beginning. I haven't been here a full year yet, and look at all we've done together. I told them. Next week will mark 6 months since I was reclaimed. I can't believe that I'd been through training to sharpen my skills as a warrior, space-traveled to other worlds, and had combat experience under my belt. Come on, let's go home. I'm tired and I need a shower, I said. How soon do you think the council will take to come to a decision? Pua asked. I don't know, but I want you two to prepare. Practice your combat skills, join the target practice units on base, anything that will give us a fighting chance against the Frogans. I headed to my apartment, daydreaming about how long I was going to stay under the shower's spray. Elder Chaktar was standing in front of my door waiting for me. Elder, has something happened? I asked him. I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. Shall we go in? He asked. He seemed anxious. When we were in my living room, I turned to him questioningly. What is it? I know that you are tired and want only to rest, but if it is not the case, Captain Lau Boham and I would like to train you further, he said. What more is there to teach me? I asked. If you recall the meeting we had at my home, we spoke of your other abilities. We can help you access them. If we are to rescue Lena, then you must be as powerful as she. I understand, Elder, but you must understand my intentions. I don't want to defeat her. I want to rescue her. Think of how much we could learn from her, or how much more powerful we could become, I reasoned. You do not fear that she may have become evil, he asked. No, I do not. And if she is, we can deal with her then, I said. Even to me it sounded shaky. Could it be I wanted to rescue her because she was family? He didn't look convinced. Elder, is this also a concern with the others? I believe so, but as you say, we will deal with it if we come to it, he answered. The others are waiting. Shall we go? Can I change first? I asked. Of course, I shall continue to look through your album while you do so, he said. He sat down and picked up my album. I rushed to my room and jumped into the shower. I didn't know how much physical training I was going to do, but I was already in need of a shower. I didn't want to be offensive. I dressed quickly in loose-fitting pants and a t-shirt. When I joined him, he was still looking at the pictures. He was staring at a picture of me as a young child. I smiled at it too. I was 14 years old in that picture, and I was so proud of my new haircut. For so long, my parents dictated how I should wear my hair, and I had finally won. They allowed me to get it cut, I told him. You had a fighter's defiance even back then, he commented. I reached over and took the album from him. Shall we go? I asked. Elder Choktar drove us back to his town he said was called Zwood. He drove past his house and further into the town. It was daytime here and there were people in the aquarium splashing around. Do they swim all day? I asked. No, we can only be out of the water for a limited amount of time. Then we must go back in, he replied. How long can you be out of the water? The longest I've been away from water is 12 hours. Past that, I begin to feel weak and my skin begins to dry up. Pure Zwazadorians have a limit of 3 to 4 hours. I see why this place has to be maintained. If they had to go to the ocean, would they survive? I mean, if they had no choice, would they? Choktar nodded. Yes, the full ones would, but the hybrids like myself would suffer some difficulty. I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions. I find your people fascinating, and I feel that my education of Anthora as a whole is limited. Besides the Zwazadorians, what other special species live here on the planet? We have the Nozans, who can only live underground, and the other are the Radi. They are part humanoid and bird. Their numbers are few, and they have colorful wings. Wow, will I be able to meet them sometime? I thought it was fantastic to have wings. A representative of each of our reclaimed will be at the meeting to voice their concerns about joining the Alliance of Planets. You'll be able to meet everyone. Are we there yet? I asked. We'd been driving for over an hour now and the scenery was starting to change. The sky was darkening and there were no homes and the road had changed to dirt. We're almost there, he answered. He turned onto another dirt road and I could see an oddly shaped building. It was under a dome and I could see light all around it. Elder Choktar parked the conveyor beside the building inside the dome and got out. I got out too and followed him into the building. The minute I walked in, I knew I was in trouble and took a stance. Choktar turned to me and smiled diabolically. You've come a long way from the shy and confused girl we'd reclaimed. Now you're becoming a liability we can't afford to allow to continue. Where are Captain Lau and Boehm? I asked, trying not to sound afraid. But I was, very afraid. I was surrounded by Frogans. They are not coming. This is the last place they'd think to look for you. Your elder was useful. This part of the planet was deadly to us, and now we have a way in. The elder was most challenging, but in the end, my superior Subiac abilities have won. Through him, I can do anything. Before I could raise my arms to blast him, 2 soldiers grabbed me from behind. The one facing me held a clear box that contained a black orb. He opened the box and the black orb floated out and advanced toward me. I thought of what happened to Lena just before it reached me. The thing engulfed me and I couldn't move my arms. Immediately, I felt weakened. I fell to my knees and knew no more. Okay, let's stop right there. Were you expecting this? Comment if you knew and what will happen next. Let's get back to the story. Ah, you're awake. I was beginning to think you wanted to sleep forever, a Frogan said. I looked up at it. What have you done? I asked with a pant. You will address me as Captain Seavork. You thought you were so cunning. We'd been orchestrating everything from the start. First, we had to get you here to give these pathetic people some hope. Did you really think we didn't know you'd come back for your brother? We used him as bait to get you to the homestead. We found no others with power, but we know better. Lena shielded them. Our scientists are working on a way to detect them through the shield. There won't be a place in the whole galaxy for your kind to hide. The boy doesn't have any power, so our agents were instructed to kill him anyway. They succeeded before you destroyed their ship. Now that leaves you. You see, dear girl, you've been the prey all along. What are you talking about? You didn't know I existed until recently, I said. I felt relieved that they thought my brother was dead. Lena is weakening, perhaps dying. We need another powerful Liak wielder, and that's you. You're young and strong. You will last for a long time. In the meantime, we are in the process of duplicating your powers, and then we won't need your kind any longer. The Frogan nation will be the most powerful force in the universe. Well, that's it for now. Stay tuned for the next video to see what Fiona's fate will be. And aren't you curious to see her finally come face to face with her famous ancestor? Please help this channel grow by subscribing, liking, and hitting that notification bell so you won't miss anything coming down the pike. Bye for now.